The year is 324 in the northern divine region's Bitey City. Dark clouds gather overhead, and thunder echoes across the sky. Amidst the turmoil, a lone figure hovers in midair, surrounded by crackling lightning. This man is our protagonist, Sububai. He stands at the center of the storm, enduring the divine thunder in hopes of ascending to immortality and stepping into the land of immortals. Unbeknownst to Sububai, danger draws near. A female cultivator, standing upon a lotus blossom, readies a potent divine thunder technique. With her sword lifted high, she launches a strike aimed directly at Sububai. At the final instant, Sububai manages to evade. Though he escapes a fatal blow, the attack wounds him and he crashes to the ground. The woman descends, pointing her sword at him, demanding his surrender. She is Lin Wonk, one of Sububai's own disciples. Sububai, stunned and furious, cannot believe that his trusted disciple would turn against him. Enraged, he readies a deadly counterattack. But before he can retaliate, another disciple, Buyu, delivers a sudden strike from behind, tearing a hole through Sububai's chest. Buyu then turns to Lin Wonk and argues that, despite their master's many wrongs, they should at least allow him to perish with some dignity. Sububai, gravely injured, can only laugh at such betrayal. He had never treated his disciples unjustly. How could they commit this against him? Furious, he swears he will not fall alone. If he perishes, he will drag them down with him. Just as he prepares to release another technique, a third disciple named Schwer activates the falling treasure copper coin, slamming Sububai hard into the earth. He lies there helpless, shocked that even Schwer would stand against him. Two other disciples, the eldest and the fifth, are absent, leaving Sububai to wonder about their whereabouts. Schwer commands her master not to resist, blaming him for countless crimes that cannot be forgiven and warning him not to blame anyone else for his fate. Hearing this, Sububai only laughs and asks if they truly believe the false charges against him. But now that they have drawn their blades against him, he cannot forgive them. In desperation, Sububai uses the divine soul's true body law of heaven and earth technique, a self-destruction meant to drag his enemies into death with him. Realizing his intention too late, Lin Wonk and the others rush to stop him. She frantically asks Buyu if their senior brother Heo has a backup plan because the situation has spiraled beyond control. Regardless of their efforts, they fail to prevent the inevitable. Sububai detonates his own soul's true body, obliterating himself, his disciples, and half of the continent in the cataclysmic blast. But that is not the end. When Sububai next opens his eyes, he finds himself in a strange, unfamiliar place. As he tries to make sense of his surroundings, he hears frantic noises outside. Peering through a window, he sees a world overrun by a zombie apocalypse, with people fleeing for their lives as hordes of the undead roam the streets. Realizing he has been reborn, Sububai's thoughts turn back to his traitorous disciples. Why would they betray him? What did they stand to gain? For now, those questions must wait. His priority is to train this new body to its peak, return to the world of immortal cultivation, and make his former disciples pay for what they did. He attempts to gather spiritual energy as he once did. His cultivation had been close to the immortal realm, so if he could just sense the ambient spirit power, he should be able to progress swiftly. Yet, to his shock, he feels nothing. Thinking his body might be too weak, he looks outside again and realizes the truth. This world has no spiritual power at all. Furious, he can hardly believe it. How is this possible? Without spiritual power, there was no way for him to cultivate in this world. In fact, merely surviving here would already be extremely difficult. Just then, a man and a woman burst into the house, having barely escaped from the zombies outside. They looked terrified, as though they had nearly died. The yellow-haired boy immediately grabs the woman. Another person, possibly named Vertical, tries to stop him, warning that her boyfriend might still be in the house and that it would be bad if they were seen. The yellow-haired boy scoffs, telling her not to worry. Even if her boyfriend saw them, there was nothing he could do. As he removes his clothes, the woman suddenly notices a bite mark on his arm and asks how he got wounded. The boy shrugs it off, saying he might have been bitten by those crazed people on the street and insisting it was nothing serious. They continue their business until, abruptly, the woman realizes the boy has gone still. She asks him what is wrong, urging him to continue, but to her horror, he is turned into a zombie and attacks her. She struggles, barely managing to push him away. Meanwhile, Subibai hears the commotion and wonders if someone else is in the house. Searching through the memories of his new body, he recalls that the woman is supposed to be his girlfriend, and the yellow-haired boy is her lover. Subibai smiles bitterly, realizing that the original owner of this body had also been betrayed by those closest to him. Opening the door, Subibai sees the now zombified boy lunging at the screaming woman. She notices Subibai and begs for help. He stares at her coldly, says nothing, and watches as the zombie tears into her flesh. Then, without a word, he closes the door behind him, thinking, serves her right. In a world with no spiritual power, Subibai knows he must find a way to survive. Otherwise, he might die here before ever returning to his original world. Sitting on the floor, he tries to retrieve something, anything, from his sea of consciousness that could save his life. Yet, with his current cultivation level, advanced magic items like the 9 Changes Spirit Pellet are beyond reach. All he can do is rely on luck and hope for the best. Finally, he pulls out a low-level magic weapon, the 10,000 Souls banner. Subibai is disappointed. How could he have ended up with such a low-level magic weapon? He had hoped to retrieve something that could truly save his life in this chaotic world. Just as his frustration peaks, a blue window suddenly appears before him. System prompt. It has been detected that the host has obtained the magic weapon 10,000 Souls banner. The host is now bound to the 10,000 Souls banner system. Current system level 1. Capacity 10 souls. Upgrade requirement to level 2. Hunt down an elementary mutant. Curious, Subibai wonders what sort of system this could be, especially one attached to a mere low-level weapon like the 10,000 Souls banner. As far as he remembered, the banner's only function had been to collect souls. The system then explains that by using the 10,000 Souls banner, he can harvest the souls of the dead, convert their soul power into spiritual power, and feed it back to himself. The higher the banner's level, the stronger the souls it can collect, and thus the more spiritual power Subibai would gain in return. There is a catch. Any person who has been dead for more than 5 minutes will have a soul that completely vanishes, rendering it uncollectible. Subibai smiles. So, it really is possible to transform soul power into spiritual power. Even if this world lacks natural spiritual energy, he realizes that with zombies everywhere, there is no shortage of materials to harvest for cultivation. He remembers the girlfriend who betrayed him and the yellow-haired boy, both now zombies, banging on the door. Subibai opens it, and the 2 zombies lunge at him. He swiftly kills them with the 10,000 Souls banner, but to his surprise, they continue moving even after he attacks. At that moment, he activates the banner's true power, collecting their souls and converting them into spiritual energy. Subibai is amazed to feel a breakthrough in his cultivation almost immediately. After absorbing their souls, he now has 2 controllable souls at his command, and his spiritual power has grown noticeably stronger. He can't help but smile. Despite its humble appearance, the 10,000 Souls banner has proven to be far more powerful than he ever imagined. Sometime later, outside, people were running in all directions, frantically searching for any safe spot to hide. In the midst of this chaos, Subibai was also looking for supplies. His body was still too weak. I can't do much cultivation in this condition, he thought. First, I need to find some supplies, then consider enhancing the 10,000 Souls banner. Suddenly, a group of zombies perched atop a nearby building heard the commotion below. They leaped down into the fleeing crowd. Among them was a plump, blonde-haired woman who panicked upon spotting the zombies heading toward her. In a desperate attempt to save herself, she grabbed another woman from the crowd. She hurled her at the zombies, using the poor victim as a human shield. Subibai happened to witness this horrifying act and was shocked to recognize that the woman who'd been thrown to the zombies looked exactly like Lin Wonk. She was one of his disciples who had once betrayed him. Furious and puzzled about her presence here, he quickly summoned the 10,000 Souls banner and killed the zombies attacking her. Lin Wonk gasped with relief, grateful to be rescued. "How did you end up here?" Subibai demanded, glaring at her. "Not long ago you used the divine thunder technique on me, forcing me into a wretched state. Now you can't even protect yourself from a handful of low-level monsters." He could scarcely believe that his former disciple, who had once caused him so much trouble, was now so weak. Yet Lin Wonk only stared at him in bewilderment. She had no idea who he was or what he was talking about, and she couldn't understand how he already knew her name when, to her knowledge, they had never met. Standing up, she thanked Subibai for saving her life and asked if they had met before. Incensed, Subibai pointed his spear at her. "Don't pretend to be crazy. You won't get away by feigning ignorance." Startled, Lin Wonk tried to calm him. "This isn't the time for wild accusations. There are more monsters nearby. We should leave and find somewhere safe." Hearing her words, Subibai hesitated. "Did I get the wrong person?" he wondered. "Or is she simply not the Lin Wonk I once knew?" Subibai still found it difficult to believe that the woman before him wasn't the traitorous disciple he remembered. She looked identical to Lin Wonk, and he was sure he would never mistake her face. Unless, he thought, coming to this world had caused her to lose her memories. As he moved closer, hoping to investigate, Subibai's stomach growled. Lin Wonk smiled at the sound and mentioned there was a large shopping mall not far away. She planned to gather supplies there and possibly take refuge. She invited Subibai to join her, and although he hesitated briefly, he eventually agreed, if only to see for himself whether or not she was truly the same Lin Wonk. Gripping his hand, Lin Wonk urged him to hurry, so they could stock up on supplies and wait for rescue. Subibai followed her, still torn between suspicion and curiosity. Even if she really has lost her memories, he thought, her betrayal remains. Sooner or later, she'll pay for it. After half an hour, they reached the entrance of a Walmart supermarket. While standing at the front doors, Lin Wonk asked for Subibai's name. Hearing this, Subibai realized she truly seemed unaware of who he was. She wasn't faking her confusion at all, but he refused to let his guard down. Stepping past her, he answered curtly, "Subibai." Following a brief introduction, Lin Wonk invited him to head inside. She suggested they use the store's resources and wait for rescue. But to their surprise, the supermarket was already crawling with zombies, and not just ordinary ones. Among them was a mutated zombie that stood out. It kept mumbling phrases like, "Apply for a card, get 50% off." Before slaughtering several normal zombies in its path, it charged straight at Subibai. Subibai smirked as he felt the creature's aura. It's probably at the initial stage of the spiritual sea realm, he realized. That must be an elementary mutant. Lin Wonk, terrified, hid behind him, urging him to retreat and find safety elsewhere. But Subibai saw this as an opportunity, not a threat. A sacrifice that could help him upgrade his 10,000 Souls banner to level 2. Summoning the banner, he commanded 2 zombie slaves he controlled to attack the mutant. The supermarket erupted into chaos as his zombies clashed with the others, killing them one by one. However, the mutated zombies soon noticed Subibai's slaves and charged in to attack. Subibai quickly ordered them to pull back, but the mutant was too quick and killed one of his zombie slaves. Seeing an opening, Subibai launched a sneak attack from behind. At the same time, his remaining slave, a female zombie, leaped onto the mutant's back and bit into its neck. The mutated zombie let out a roar of pain. Subai quickly commanded his slave zombie to hurl it to the ground, knocking it unconscious. Then he triggered the 10,000 Souls banner to absorb its soul, making it his newest servant. Right after taking in the mutated zombie, a system window materialized before him. System prompt: "Congratulations on overcoming an elementary zombie. The 10,000 Souls banner has now been raised to level 2. New capacity: 5 extra souls. Next upgrade requirement: hunt down an advanced zombie, a foundation stage beast." Subai scowled at the new condition. "My present cultivation is still at the spiritual sea realm. To overcome a foundation stage beast, I'll need to gather more spiritual power first. Meanwhile, Lin Wonk was amazed by Subai's display. She had initially dismissed him as some deranged individual, never thinking he could be this strong. Watching her youthful admiration, Subai found it difficult to believe she was the same disciple who had once betrayed him and nearly ended his life. With the mutated zombie defeated, the survivors who had been hiding in the supermarket cautiously emerged. Relieved that the threat was gone, they began redistributing supplies and preparing to wait for rescue and relative safety. There seemed to be enough resources to sustain them for a while. Lin Wonk turned to Subai, pointing out how large the stockpile of supplies was. If we use this wisely, we can stay hidden in a safe place until the rescue team arrives, she suggested. However, the other survivors were not so welcoming. One man stepped forward, glaring at Lin Wonk and Subai. "This is our territory," he declared. "You can't just help yourselves to our supplies without our permission." Several others quickly agreed with him, insisting that they had risked their lives to gather everything during the chaos. They weren't about to let newcomers take advantage of their hard work. Lin Wonk bristled at their accusations and shouted back, "If Mr. Subai hadn't killed that mutated zombie, all of you would have been sitting ducks waiting to die. Now you want to claim these supplies for yourselves and ignore the fact that he saved your lives." However, they didn't believe him. They said he was as thin as a bamboo pole. How could someone like that kill a monster? In their opinion, the monsters must have killed each other. Lin Wonk shouted, unable to believe how shameless those people were. Before she could say anything more, Subai stopped her and warned her not to argue with mindless people, reminding her that words alone wouldn't change anything. Lin Wonk looked at Subai and insisted that he was the one who had obviously defeated those monsters. She couldn't let anyone else take advantage of his hard work. Subai simply smiled and said, "Only the weak use such petty tricks. The strong are always right." He cast a cold gaze over the crowd and announced that he needed supplies, asking who was in favor and who was against it. They all opposed him, telling Subai there were many of them and only one of him, so he couldn't win. They advised him to leave peacefully, hinting that if he angered them, they wouldn't be responsible for what might happen. Subai only smiled and said that if he couldn't get supplies peacefully, he would have no choice but to kill them. Once they were dead, all the supplies would be his. He summoned his mutated zombies and ordered them to attack. Terrified, the crowd begged Subai to spare them, promising he could take all the supplies he wanted as long as they could keep their lives. But he didn't care. He killed those who had threatened him. The rest fled in terror, trying to save themselves. Standing confidently, Subai asked if anyone else wanted to stop him. No one dared say a word. They stood silently, too afraid to even lift their heads. Then Subai turned to Lin Wonk and told her to take whatever she wanted. No one would dare oppose them now. She nodded and began collecting supplies. After stuffing her bag, she asked if Subai needed anything. He smiled and said that, in return for saving her, all he wanted was help carrying some supplies. Secretly, he was testing her to see if she really had amnesia or was only pretending. Lin Wonk agreed, packing his share of the supplies. Subai was confused. He didn't know if she really was his disciple Lin Wonk or if he himself had lost his memory. After a few minutes, she finished packing and asked whether they should stay and wait for rescue or head elsewhere. Subai turned to leave, saying he planned to look for stronger zombies to hunt. All she needed to do was follow him with the supplies. Lin Wonk nodded and followed him. Once they were gone, everyone else breathed a sigh of relief. Even so, they couldn't believe Subai had dared to kill people so casually. They agreed to report him to the authorities if rescue ever came, insisting that someone like him should be brought to justice. But now that he was gone, they gathered around what remained of the supplies, dividing them up as quickly as possible before any other danger appeared. In the midst of their squabbling, oblivious to the threat looming behind them, Subai's 2 zombie servants crept up, ready to attack. Just then, one man in the crowd spotted the zombies and panicked, running as quickly as he could to save himself. Sadly, it was already too late. The zombies rushed forward and struck down everyone one by one. A blonde, overweight woman stayed alive for a short moment, horrified and begging for help. But the zombies saw her and smashed her head underfoot. Once the slaughter was over, Sububai collected their souls and changed them into spiritual power. He knew leaving any survivors would only bring him trouble in the future. Now that he could command 3 undead, Sububai felt slightly safer. He understood that if he had to fight more than 10 zombies, retreat was the only option. Until his level increased, he would maintain a low profile. Meanwhile, Lin Wonk, who had been trailing him, was weary. She asked if they could rest somewhere, but Subi told her he had no moments to waste. If she slowed him, he would leave her behind. Ashamed, Lin Wonk declared that she believed Mr. Subi would never desert her. He smirked and asked why she was so certain, reminding her they were strangers and he could act as he wished. Lin Wonk boldly replied that she knew the place of the powerful zombie he sought. Intrigued, Subi asked how she knew. Lin Wonk explained that back at her university, she had fled the campus after spotting a strange creature near the lake. It gave off an unusual scent, and she was certain it was dangerous. Nervously, she admitted she wasn't sure it was the advanced zombie Subai sought, but it certainly seemed formidable. Hearing this, Subai reasoned that if it was anything like the mutant beast in the supermarket, it was worth investigating. He told Lin Wong to lead the way. Pleased that he believed her, Lin Wonk happily guided him toward the campus. Sometime later, the two of them finally reached their destination, but the campus was overrun with zombies. Lin Wonk stopped, scanning the surroundings anxiously. Seeing her hesitate, Subai asked why she had stopped yet again. Lin Wonk whispered for him to lower his voice. So many people at the school had turned into those creatures, and if they accidentally drew attention, they'd be in huge trouble. Subai told her not to worry, declaring he would handle the situation. He summoned his zombie servants and ordered them to clear a path. Lin Wonk, concerned, warned him they should do this quietly instead of being so reckless. But Subi ignored her protests, wondering what had happened to the world to turn so many humans into these half-human, half-ghost monsters. Suddenly, they heard noises behind them. Lin Wonk recognized the voices. It sounded like her classmates. They had ventured outside for supplies but were now trapped among the campus zombies. One of her classmates, terrified, hurled his weapon at a charging zombie but missed. The zombie kept coming. Yet another student arrived just in time and killed it. The student who saved him then grabbed the frightened boy, urging him to run back and regroup because these monsters were way beyond their league. Lin Wonk realized these two were Guing and Lai Mingguan, her classmates, though she couldn't fathom why they would be here of all places. Subai noticed her reaction and asked if she knew them. When Lin Wonk admitted they were her schoolmates, he turned to her and said, "Do you want me to save them or not?" Lin Wonk held Subi's hand and said, "While they're distracting the monsters, we can escape quickly. If the monsters spot us, we won't be able to leave." Subai then asked her, "Don't you want to save them? They're your classmates, aren't they?" Lin Wonk replied, "If I could help them, I would. But right now, I can't risk your life." Upon hearing this, Subai realized that if she had been the treacherous disciple from his past, she would never have said such a thing. She truly seemed to be just an ordinary girl. However, before they could leave, the very thing Lin Wonk feared happened. Her classmates noticed her and called out for help. Lin Wonk became furious. She couldn't believe that Liangwen, one of her classmates, was desperately shouting amid so many zombies, potentially dragging them all down with him. All the noise quickly drew the zombies' attention. Panicking, Lin Wonk burst into tears and apologized to Subai for getting him involved. In response, Subai summoned his enslaved zombies to fight, boasting that he had once slain the 9th demon lord of the underworld. He declared that these lowly undead were not worthy opponents. Although his summoned zombies managed to kill many of them, there were simply too many. Subai lost 2 of his contracted zombies, and his mutated zombie was also in trouble. He realized that dealing with 10 zombies at once was already his limit given his current strength. If they wanted to turn the tide and survive, he needed to lure some of the zombies away. He asked Lin Wonk if there was anything nearby that could produce a loud sound. Lin Wonk remembered her smartphone and handed it to Subai, who had never seen such a device before. He was baffled by the idea that a small box could make a loud noise. Instead of explaining, Lin Wonk simply turned on the phone's music. Subai was astonished by how loud the sound was coming from what he called a small metal box. Drawn by the blaring music, many of the zombies attacking the mutated zombie turned their attention towards Subai. Overjoyed by this new magical tool, he threw the smartphone to his mutated zombie slave. The mutated zombie caught the phone and started running, drawing most of the horde away. With so many zombies in pursuit of the mutated zombie, Subai and his remaining undead were free to dispatch the remaining threats one by one. Lin Wonk was amazed that such a simple trick had worked. However, Subai grabbed her hand and reminded her they had no time to celebrate. They needed to leave before more zombies arrived. Moments later, both of them managed to escape safely to the classroom building. Once they were out of danger, Lin Wonk thanked Subai again for saving her life. She admitted that without him, she would never have made it this far. Subai replied that it was no big deal. She had helped him locate an advanced zombie, and in return he had saved her. Both of them benefited. Not long after, Lin Wonk's classmates also managed to escape safely, thanks to Subai's zombies having distracted and slain most of the undead. However, they quickly noticed that Lin Wonk was carrying a large bag of supplies. They were thrilled to see Lin Wonk return with so many supplies. With that amount, they believed they could wait for a rescue team to arrive. However, Lin Wonk scoffed and reminded everyone that these supplies were obtained by Mr. Subai, and she had no right to distribute them on his behalf. Li Mingguan was furious. He told Lin Wonk that there was no point in distinguishing yours and his in a crisis like this. Other students also needed these supplies to survive. Another one of Lin Wonk's classmates, sensing the tense atmosphere, stepped in and suggested they all stop arguing and return to the classroom first. They could decide how to distribute the supplies once they were somewhere safer. Turning to Subai, he also invited him to join them, saying they should all stick together in times like these. Subai and Lin Wonk followed them back to the classroom. On the way, Lin Wonk apologized to Subai for the trouble, but assured him that she would not let anyone touch his share of the supplies. Subai told her not to worry. His only goal was to find the advanced zombie. Still, he asked how she could be certain these people would listen to her. She replied that there were many teachers among the survivors, so nobody would dare do anything extreme. Subai simply smiled and said they had better behave, or he couldn't guarantee their safety. Meanwhile, the bold student whispered to Liangwen that he had seen the bag was full of food. With so many supplies, they could sustain themselves for at least a month until rescue arrived. Liang nodded but worried that Lin Wonk wouldn't agree. And then there was also the matter of Subai. Another student chimed in, saying that now they were back on their territory, Lin Wonk and Subai couldn't simply refuse. If they cooperated, they might receive something in return. If not, they would have to deal with them the hard way. Moments later, they arrived at the classroom door. Li Mingxuan called out to the teacher to open up, announcing they had brought supplies. The teacher, relieved to see them safe, invited everyone inside and asked for the supplies to be handed out. As Subai entered, he noticed that many survivors were present. They had managed to avoid the zombies so far, perhaps because the undead hadn't swarmed this area yet. The same bold student pressed Lin Wonk to distribute the supplies right away, complaining that they hadn't eaten anything for 3 days. Gritting her teeth in frustration, Lin Wonk said she would only give out half. Mr. Subai owned the other half, and they had no right to touch it. Li Mingguan scoffed and asked why a single person needed so much food. He offered to buy Subai's share at 10 times the market price. Looking at Subai, he asked if he minded selling. Subai smiled and agreed. In that moment, Li Mingguan tried to claim all of Lin Wonk's supplies, forgetting that Subai was no pushover. Subai promptly summoned his mutated zombie slave, ready to attack Liangwen. Seeing the monster appear inside the classroom, everyone panicked and scrambled for safety. Only then did they realize the zombie seemed to be under Subai's control. Subai grabbed Li Mingguan by the collar and snarled that because of Li Mingguan's earlier actions, he had lost 2 undead minions. Yet Li Mingguan still dared to demand Subai's supplies. Li Mingguan apologized profusely and begged for his life. Subibai asked, "Should I kill you, or should I take your soul to make up for my losses?" Terrified, Li Yingguan pleaded with his classmates Zhang Hao and Gumming to intercede, since they were the ones who had come up with the plan in the first place. Zhang Hao and Gumming quickly denied any involvement, insisting it was all Ling Xuan's idea and that he alone should bear the blame. Ling Xuan was shocked at the betrayal, cursing them for abandoning him. He turned to Lin Wonk, begging her to ask Subai to spare him. He promised he would never try to steal supplies again. Subai was curious how Lin Wonk would react. Surprisingly, she apologized on Li Mingguan's behalf and asked Subai to forgive him just this once for everyone's sake. She said they could take her share of the supplies, but no one was to touch Subai's. Watching her selfless behavior, Subai realized that she truly might not be the treacherous disciple he once knew, despite her resemblance. Deciding he no longer needed to keep her close, he told Lin Wonk that now that she had found her companions, it was time for him to leave and continue searching for the advanced zombie. But Lin Wonk stopped him, claiming that she knew where the creature he was seeking might be. When Subibai asked if she had actually seen it, she said no, but she could sense a terrifying presence somewhere in the school. This startled Subai. Her ability to sense spiritual power suggested an innate spiritual physique. He was astonished because, to his knowledge, no one else in the world had such a physique except his lost disciple. Could she truly be that woman suffering from memory loss? Or was there some other explanation? In the original Cultivation realm, before Subi was betrayed by his disciples, Lin Wonk approached him, requesting to become his disciple. In response, Subai told her that he would only accept her if she found something for him first. Lin Wonk successfully found what Subibai had asked for and returned, requesting again to be accepted as his disciple. When Subibai asked how she managed to locate it, Lin Wonk respectfully bowed before him and replied, "I was born with the ability to track and trace. If you accept me as your disciple, I will be the sword in your hand. I will never let you down." Seeing her determination, Subai accepted her as his second disciple. With her innate spiritual physique, her future achievements would not fall short of his own. However, Lin Wonk humbly told him, "My life was saved by you. I would never dream of surpassing you. I only wish to serve by your side and ease your burdens." Subai walked up to her and said, "Stop calling me senior. Now that you're my disciple, you should call me master." That was the moment Subai learned that Lin Wonk possessed the innate spiritual physique. Although he wasn't sure how she had lost her past memories, for him, it didn't matter. He was still planning to kill her. He extended his hand to capture her soul and make her his servant, dooming her to eternal soul refinement. But suddenly, Lin Wonk grabbed Subai's hand and urgently warned, "That thing I've been sensing, it's really coming this way. We must leave now before it's too late." Hearing this, Subai fell silent. Then, in the next moment, he burst into laughter like a madman, shocking everyone in the room. He thought to himself, "I nearly killed her just now, but this is an innate spiritual physique, a one-of-a-kind rare body. Killing her outright would be such a waste. Rather than that, I'll treat her as a chess piece. Once she outlives her usefulness, I won't shortchange her. She'll have her own place inside the soul banner." Meanwhile, the mutated monster Lin Wonk had warned about approached the building. It had sensed Subibai's spiritual energy and followed it here to where Subibai and the others were gathered. This mutated creature was intelligent, and it had recently been lucky enough to absorb a trace of spiritual energy to recharge its core. If not for that, it too would have eventually turned into one of those half-human, half-ghost abominations. When it detected the presence of spiritual energy in this barren world, it was thrilled. Finally, a chance to break through to the next realm. Standing in front of the university building, the mutated beast looked up, then leaped straight through the upper floor, crashing into the room where Subibai and the others were. Seeing the creature, Subai thought, "Is this the powerful entity Lin Wonk mentioned? A mutated snake demon?" But as he observed it more closely, something felt off. This mutated beast's aura, it felt familiar. The students in the room panicked, screaming and trying to escape. But to their horror, the door was locked. They couldn't get out. Lin Wonk pointed at the beast and exclaimed, "This is the same creature I saw by the man-made lake. It has the same aura I've been sensing all this time." Subai was surprised. This mutated snake demon, it actually possesses spiritual energy. This isn't some ordinary mutant. This is a demon beast from the cultivation realm. But then he wondered, why would such a creature appear in a place like this? The mutated snake demon sneered and spoke, "Even though this world lacks spiritual energy and is crawling with ghostly pests, it's far more fun than that wretched cultivation realm. I can feast on humans freely here without interference from those damned cultivators." It grabbed one of the students to devour. The terrified student cried for help. The teacher, Bing, turned to Lin Wonk and begged her to ask Subai to save the students. "If he can protect them, I will do anything he asks." Subai glanced at her coldly and said, "Whether I can or not is beside the point. What do their lives have to do with me?" Still desperate, the teacher pleaded, "I'll pay you a lot of money. Just save them." But Subai rejected her offer. "I'm not interested in money. Don't worry. Once you're all dead, I'll collect your souls." As the snake demon devoured the student, Subai ordered his mutated zombie to attack. The zombie leapt into the air and struck from behind, knocking the mutated snake demon to the ground. As the beast lay unconscious, the zombie jumped on top of it to finish it off. But suddenly, the snake demon's eyes flew open. It extended its tongue, wrapping it tightly around Subai's zombie. Staring at Subai, it said, "I knew it. My nose wasn't wrong. There really is spiritual energy here. Unbelievable. A cultivator in this world. Their strength may be weak, but it's enough." Just as it grew excited, Subai's zombie kicked its mouth, freeing itself from the demon's tongue grip. Subai smirked. "So the mutated snake demon is coming for me after sensing my spiritual energy. Doesn't matter, I'll just take it down. A monster in the foundation stage. In the past, this kind of trash wouldn't have been worthy of Subai's attention. But now, when his cultivation is only at the spiritual sea realm, he has to be more cautious. These people, killing them and refining their souls might just be enough for him to break through." Turning to them, he coldly announced, "Unfortunately, in my current condition, I can't handle that thing. You're all on your own. If you're willing to join my 10,000 souls banner and help me break through, there may be a sliver of hope." He smirked, saying, "Of course you can refuse. But if you do, I'll leave, and no one can stop me. What happens after that won't be my responsibility." Everyone sat frozen in silence. Terrified, no one dared to speak. Seeing that no one was willing to sacrifice themselves, Subai turned to leave. Lin Wonk tried to stop him, but before she could, her teacher, Li, stepped forward and said, "I'll sacrifice myself. In exchange, please take my students to safety." At that moment, Subai noticed a glowing purple crystal hanging around teacher Li's neck. His eyes narrowed, realizing that it was a spiritual stone. He grabbed the crystal and asked coldly, "Where did you get this?" Teacher Li hesitated for a second before replying that her father had found it by chance many years ago. Seeing Subai's obvious interest, Teacher Li handed him the stone and begged, "Please, just protect my students." Inspecting it closely, Subai confirmed, "This is indeed a product of the immortal realm. The quality isn't low either. The spiritual power inside, it's on par with a top-grade spiritual stone." But what puzzled him was, how did something like this end up in this world? Could it be that his and Lin Wonk's rebirth here wasn't a coincidence? If that's true, then maybe his other disciples are here too. Just then, the system detected the spiritual stone and prompted, "Would you like to use this item to enhance the 10,000 souls banner? Doing so will increase your control level over the undead by 1 tier." Subai was stunned. He didn't expect that spiritual stones could directly upgrade the banner. He made a mental note that he needed to collect more of these in the future. He accepted the item and agreed to Teacher Li's request, telling her, "Wait here and don't run." Meanwhile, the mutated snake demon, enraged after being attacked by Subai's mutated zombie, roared, "How dare you steal from me?" It charged straight at Sububai, intending to kill and refine him to boost its own cultivation. But Sububai had already begun absorbing the spiritual stone's energy. He commanded his zombie, "Block it. Don't let it get close." The zombie charged in, but the mutated snake demon dodged easily, grabbing the zombie and slamming it into a nearby wall. Then it noticed something Subai's aura. It was rapidly growing stronger. He was breaking through. The snake demon growled in panic. "If I don't stop him now, it'll be a problem later. But before that, I need to squash this bug." Punched Subai's zombie, sending him flying out of the building. Now rid of the distraction, the demon laughed and charged towards Sububai. But just as it approached, its entire body froze. Primal fear surged up, warning it, "Danger." Subai smiled, his body glowing with spiritual light. "My 10,000 souls banner needs a foundation beast for sacrifice," he said calmly. "And that's you." The mutated snake demon was stunned. What is happening? Suddenly, Subai's mutated zombie, now evolved from the ordinary class to the evolutionary class, returned, towering over the snake demon. It grabbed the creature by the neck. Subai gave the command to kill it. The zombie stabbed its sharp claws into the demon's chest, piercing clean through. Then it lifted the demon into the air and hurled it across the building. But just before falling, the mutated demon clung to the edge and caught itself. Breathing heavily, it realized that it had underestimated Sububai. It didn't expect him to break through mid-battle. Still, it wasn't ready to give up. Roaring, "It's not enough to defeat me!" It let out a piercing cry, summoning the nearby zombies to swarm in and help it kill these humans. What happens next? Stay tuned, the next part is coming soon. Don't miss it, and make sure to watch the next episode.